What's going on, everybody? As you can see, it's me, my boy Devon, back. It's been a minute since we've been on here. What's going on, Devon?
What's up, man? How y'all doing? So I was just making some last minute adjustments uh to my mock draft for Seattle. Not just in my team. Got that already locked.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome back to the stream, Devon. As y'all see in the comments, we're gonna talk about the Seattle Seahawks and the Washington Commanders. I almost said football team. Got to get used to changing the names up. But before we start talking about the Seattle Seahawks, let's go ahead and get a quick preview of the team before being Devon tap into talking about this team that is first on the stream. Welcome to another episode of All In with Nate. First up on the board is the Seattle Seahawks. As they entered the 2022 offseason, this team underwent a major shift in the franchise. Following a disappointing 7-10 season, the Seahawks finally shipped Russell Wilson to the Denver Broncos for a package of young players and draft picks. Seattle has coolly committed to a rebuild. And Seattle didn't just stop there. They also cut ties with longtime linebacker Bobby Wagner by releasing the 10-year vet. Now GM John Snyder and head coach Pete Carroll are looking to begin the rebuilding period. The loss of Wilson obviously creates a issue of no quarterback under center, as they only carry Geno Smith at the moment, and they also lost several pieces in free agency in their secondary. However, Seattle is in a tricky situation. Do you commit to a rebuild? Do you commit to adding pieces to stay competitive? Because entering this string, the Seahawks have the third most cap space in free agency. Seattle has over $49 million of cap space. However, they carry over $40 billion of dead cap. So we're going to get ready to preview the Seahawks. What direction will this team go going forward? What are their draft needs? And also my live mock draft about the Seattle Seahawks, who carries 8 picks into the 2022 NFL Draft. Up first on the board are the Seattle Seahawks. As you saw, we're going to be talking about the Seattle Seahawks. They finally went into rebuild mode by trading Russ to Denver. They got 8 picks in the draft. So they got a lot of space. They can do a couple of things in this draft. They don't have as many holes as your average team that was in the top 10. So before we get deep into them, Devon, how you feel about the Seahawks going into this season?
They definitely with that move they made with Denver to send Russell Wilson over there, they definitely like in a rebuild mode, especially after losing Russell and Bobby Wagner, who are both, the obvious captains of both sides of the ball in that team. They're definitely looking for some young blood to come in and hopefully re-energize that franchise to the status that they were before. But yeah, it was honestly, for both teams, honestly, it was a good move because one, yes, Russell Wilson wasn't getting up there in age, so was Bobby Wagner, and they need to put some young pieces in place if they want to stay, relevant in that most competitive NFC West division. With the Rams trying to make their own moves to come back and win a championship once again.
I agree 100%. And if I'm the Seahawks, this is the best time to do it because when you look at your division, the 49ers and Rams were playing for a trip to the Super Bowl. The Rams, this is the defending champs. The Cardinals was in the playoffs. So why not go ahead and do it now? Because the one thing about the Rams is the Rams are a veteran ball club. So they may not be on top that long. No disrespect to the Rams for winning the Super Bowl, but we're just being honest here. And I would rather you go ahead and rebuild if you're the Seahawks. And of course, like they got a ring out of it. So they should be more than pleased what they did in Seattle outside of the interception at the 1-yard line, but we're gonna not talk about that. But
now, I mean, I honestly think that they're like the Rams, the moves that they're making right now. It's important because it's just they're just trying to run it back, rebuild, or not necessarily rebuild, but they're trying to bring in pieces to add on to their already championship level team that they have. Especially since Tom Brady decided to pull a Houdini on us with retirement and come back. they got to stay relevant. Because if it wasn't for Brady to coming back, then the Rams were clear front runners to win the NFC again. Uh, just looking at how lopsided this NFL is now, talent wise.
I agree with that 100%. Let me go to the comments real quick. Rex, what's up, little bro? Let's see what's up, bro. What's going on. Byron said they never should have cut Wagner. Now he's gonna wreck Seattle twice a year. I'm gonna be honest with you. We're gonna talk when we get into talking about them. You'll know what we're referencing here. Seattle actually got a younger, solid replacement. I'm sure Devon, you know about him, Jordan Brooks.
Yeah,
And he was pretty solid for him this season. So Seattle looked at it like this: they got rid of that contract, they cut bait with that money, and they're gonna go ahead and get some younger guys. So he's going to a great situation in LA. I'm not gonna knock him for it, but I mean they're not losing too much because he is a veteran. So again, I do understand. I understand what you're saying though. What about you, Devon? How you feel like it?
yeah. I mean, it's like I said, it's honestly a win-win for both situations. Like Bobby Wagner, he's on a team that's already full of veterans, and he can help them bring that leadership to their team. Because look, the Rams now they have Ramsey, they have Wagner, they have Aaron Donald. Like just those three right there will make any offense coordinator go crazy. The night before trying to figure out how they can score or even get the ball moving on them. But for Seattle, they do have the younger players that they're trying to lean on and trying to create more stability going forward for the next couple of years. Because the Rams, those like most of them players, I don't see them staying on much longer, or at least they'll be retiring in LA. So the Rams, they're not necessarily on a rebuild yet. I do see them on a rebuild within the next 5 seasons or so, or less, maybe.
I agree with that. All right, guys, we're tapping into my draftees. I know Devon's going to probably have his own as well. My first draftee for Seattle is quarterback. Russ is gone. Simple. Drew Lock is their quarterback for now. I'm not a Drew Lock fan, by the way. He was in Denver. He was horrible in Denver. I was a fan of his coming out of college. I actually liked him at Mizzou, but he's been awful in Denver. But he's going to Seattle. They probably it's tricky. They could work with him this year, or they could possibly say we'll wait to 23 and go get a Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. But Seattle definitely need a quarterback at some point for their future because you want to go ahead and get you a signal caller going forward. You're the only team in the division that do not really have a set signal caller because San Francisco has a great situation. They got two with Garoppolo, even though he's probably going to get traded. But you got Trey Lance, that's going to be a young guy. He's going to be there for a while. You got Stafford, who just got that extension with LA, as me and Devon been talking about the Rams. Kyler, that's another situation. We'll get to talk about them later on down the road. I'll be their starting quarterback after the season.
Yeah. They actually might be looking to trade him if they can't seem to get their contract situation right.
So that is true too. So that could be a tricky situation for the Cardinals. Excuse me. Now, corner is my other need for the Seahawks. You could possibly say that could be their number one need because if you look at the Seahawks secondary, you don't really see anyone at corner like that because they lost DJ Reed. I think he was to the Jets, if I'm not mistaken. I think they signed him.
I believe so.
So, yeah, Seattle, what a lot of people don't know about Seattle, they surrendered the second most yardage passing-wise in the league. They gave over 4,500 yards. They gave the most first downs in the league, which was 400. But as weird as that sounds, they were top 12 in scoring. So they gave up a lot of yardage. They were bend but don't break. But with a better player, if you look at a Sauce Gardner, Derek Stingley at number 9, if they decide to go after that, that immediately improves your secondary at corner because, again, you showed last season they didn't really have a pass rush like that. So for you to even finish top 12 in scoring speaks volumes to their scheme. And then Seattle's going to go 3-4 this year. So I feel that they need to start to look into getting a corner. And at number 9, you're in range to get. And so if the Jets, because I think that's the only team that's going to go after Sauce Gardner in the top 7 or 8. If the Jets don't take him, I think Seattle has a great shot at him or Derek Stingley. You're going to get an elite corner. And then you have 3 picks in the top 41. So, again, that's a great opportunity to get you an elite corner. My next need for them is offensive line. They need everything on the offensive line. Let's just go ahead and be honest. I'm not even going to sit here and sugarcoat. They need one position. They need all five. They lost Dwayne Brown. He's in free agency. They don't have any talent at this moment on that offensive line. And Seattle was they gave up the 8th most sacks in the league. They gave up 46 sacks on the regular season. They were 25th as an offensive line. So with a draft that's loaded at O-line, I would be shocked if Seattle don't get several picks here. Also, my last need for them is linebacker and defensive end. Seattle's going to go 3-4. When you look at that linebacker, that front seven for Seattle, outside of Jordan Brooks, there's nobody on that defensive line that scares me. They got Shelby Harris, but Shelby Harris is a veteran. He may help them out a little bit, but there's nobody on that line that scares me. And Seattle has to look into getting some help on that front seven because, again, it's a deep draft at linebacker and at D end. They could even go after Cart Loftus or Trayvon Walker if he falls to them at 9, or even go later in the draft, get you some solid linebackers. You got Christian Harris. You got Nick Bonito out of Oklahoma. You got all kind of guys who's going to be there on day 2 and day 3. So Seattle has multiple opportunities actually to address their front seven. They got to address it though, because if you're going to win in that division, look at the rest of your defense. Look at the rest of the division. Arizona has J.J. Watt and that group out there. The Rams is self-explanatory. The Niners got Nick Bosa and that group in San Francisco. So you're going to have some type of pass rush if you're going to win that division. But I'm going to let Devon hit his needs for the Seahawks.
It's pretty much the same thing. They do need a quarterback. I think that I don't necessarily think they're going to get one in the first round if Malik Willis or that type of quarterback would fall to them at 9, then I would see them getting him at 9. But the way that Malik Willis' draft stock is rising up, I don't necessarily see him falling that low unless, something happens between now and next 2 weeks from now. But other than that, they need offensive line help. Obviously, Russell Wilson was running for dear life in the past couple of seasons. So they do need to boost at least that lineup, especially they're going to bring in a quarterback, to develop him. He can't develop without a line blocking for him. Edge rushers, like Nate was saying, they don't have anybody on that line that's necessarily threatening except Jordan Brooks because of that speed and versatility that he has. But other than that, they don't have anything up there that they, especially in a division that's loaded with pass rushers already. Seattle's not looking, they're not looking right necessarily at that position, and definitely the secondary. That's between quarterback and their secondary. I would say that the secondary is probably going to be second for them. Just for the sole fact that they don't know they're going to necessarily need to have a decent or like a good first round quarterback because of how Drew Lock may play. They do have receivers. They still have Metcalf, still have Lockett, and they still have their rookie wide receiver that they drafted last year. So he has the weapons to be able to do something over there. But so I'm thinking that going DB in the first round might be the best choice for them. So because there's a lot of good DBs out there for this draft, plus DBs and wide receivers. So yeah.
Okay, so we kind of on the same page with this team, but all in all, Seattle is in a great position. They got 8 picks, so they can really do some work in this draft because honestly, they needed to do it because no disrespect to Jamal Adams, great talent, solid Pro Bowler, but they've been destroyed of talent the last 2 years because they haven't had a first or a second. So they needed to do that. Trade had to happen at some point for the Seahawks. So it kind of sucked for them. But again, like they are in a good spot because take this in next year to get your squad back right and put yourself in the best position because everybody else in the division is going to have to get older at some point, and especially the Rams. The Rams is more of we're going to do this thing in the next 2 to 3 years. Like you said, they'll be rebuilding in a couple years. It's easy to say forget those picks now because you're winning Super Bowls.
Yeah, but, like you forget you put yourself in a position like win now, which is the attitude that a lot of teams want to do, but the Rams are the team that's most active in trying to do that.
Absolutely. And then when everyone that look at the situation with the Rams at one point was building their team 6, 7 years ago. They had to go get an Aaron Donald. They had to go get several guys to upgrade that team to even go after the win now situation because they were in the bowl 3 years ago and they lost to New England. So let me go to this comment real quick. DJ Antoine, what's going on, bro? He said, "Good afternoon, brothers. Is Seattle get a quarterback yet? They have Drew Lock.
They got Drew Lock within that trade. They also got Noah Fant in that trade too. So
Yeah,
the thing is, I don't like Drew Lock. He has his good moments. He also has his bad moments. He has a big arm. It's just a matter of utilizing his big arm and like just getting his weapons in place. So I mean, it's a pretty much like a boom or bust season for him. Definitely know that Drew Lock is their bridge QB, at least for whoever they draft to at least sit behind the year because none of these quarterbacks out here. I think the only quarterback I think that would probably start day one is Malik Willis, but other than that, I think most of these quarterbacks are going to be sitting for a year at least.
Okay, let's go to YouTube. What's going on, AJ? He said Jermaine Johnson's my pick. Either your choice or edge of the top two tackles fall. I agree. They got a. You're in a great spot at 9. Like Devon said earlier, you don't have to go get a quarterback at 9. You can get one in the second round. But if I'm the Seahawks, I'm probably going to go pass rusher first too. I'm not missing out on those guys that are going to be in the top 9 or 10. I think you can still get a corner in the second round because they got pick 40 and 41. So whatever you don't do in the first, you can go do it at the second back to back. What do you think about that, Devon?
Nah, that's a good idea because it's a lot of like either or because there's a deep class of edge rushers and there's also a deep class of cornerbacks in this draft. So honestly, any of them you can go in either direction, either or. I'll be intrigued to see who they decide to go with first, but I would say that your first 3 picks have to be edge or cornerback, like DB. And you can get if you decide to go quarterback in this draft, you can go in the 3rd or 4th round. So
I definitely agree with that. He said, AJ also said, same with wide receiver, nothing against Wilson, but it's a Joe Burrow question. Who will pass/block better value? I do agree with that too. And Seattle's in a situation where they don't need a receiver right now. They have Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, so you have a stout receiving core. I mean, getting one late would be a bonus for them. So that's the biggest situation for them. But
yeah, I agree.
Go ahead.
No, I'm saying I agree with you saying they don't need wide receivers right now. The only thing I would do or would say is they need to get a running back on that offense. Carson, he's good, but he also has an injury bug. They need somebody to back them up so they have because a lot of teams now are starting to run like a 2-3 man running back group that they have. They have them in rotation, so need a little depth in that running back room that they have.
Yes, sir. I totally agree. And I looked up the mock drafts for last week. So the mocks have Seattle taking Jermaine Johnson at 9. Walter Football does. CBS Sports, Ryan Wilson and Trapasso has Seattle taking Malik Willis at 9. Josh Edwards has him taking Derek Stingley. Pete Prisco has him taking Charles Cross. StatPaul has him taking Ike Ekonwu. And NFL.com recent mock has him taking Derek Stingley. So they kind of leaning in the direction that we are as far as the Seahawks. Did you see anything different from the mocks?
No, not necessarily. Everybody that you said that they was going to get, they was going to get. Everybody pretty much has the same idea. They're going to go defense heavy in this first round. It's a pretty much defensive draft, in my opinion. With the exception of that deep wide receiver core that they have, this is predominantly going to be a defensive draft between the edge rushers, the linebackers, the DBs. Like this, it's different from last year's draft, but I think that Seattle does need to boost up their defense more early on, and they can address the offensive concerns later in the draft.
I agree with that 100%. All right, guys. So that's the Seahawks. So We about to get ready to cover Washington. I'm gonna show this quick preview for him, and I'm gonna let Devon take the lead because this is the Washington Commanders. I almost say football team again. I'm gonna get it right.
Okay, yeah, I got to. It's y'all can see I got my football team attire on. I still have to get adjusted to this commander's name before y'all ask. Do I like the name? As long as we win games, that's all that matters to me. They could be called the Joe Schmoes. I just want them to win games, get a championship coming in.
Okay. I'm gonna hit this quick preview, and then and then it's the ball. Hey, you up the bat?
Huh?
I said I'm gonna hit this quick preview, then you up the bat.
I got you.
Up next on the board are the Washington Commanders. After a 2020 season in which they won the NFC East and barely lost a playoff game to the defending Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they entered 2021 hoping that they could take that momentum and build off of it. Unfortunately, it didn't happen that way. They ended the season with a 7-10 record and have a lot of upgrades to improve on after this season. One of the positions they upgraded on was quarterback. They traded for Carson Wentz for several draft picks. Washington also didn't have a really solid offense. They finished bottom of the third in yards per game, passing yards per game, and scoring. Washington also took a step back on defense, finishing 22nd in total yards allowed and in scoring defense. Now, the Washington football team, who is now known as the Washington Commanders, will look to improve off of that disappointing 7-10 campaign. Next, we will talk with Devon Brown, who is a Washington football fan, about the upcoming draft, from their draft needs, what direction this team will go in, and we will both discuss a live mock of what the Washington football team, now known as the Washington Commanders, will do at number 11 on the board. Up next, featuring Devon Brown, are the Washington Commanders.
All right, as y'all see, it's his job.
This draft will be an interesting one, just based off of how this offseason has went for us. We let go of a lot of key players that we had. We let go of Brandon Sheriff, who was, for the most part, when he was healthy, he was a good player for us on that line. Honestly, our line is overlooked and very underrated. We ranked 6th in the league this past season as far as pass blocking and run blocking goes. The thing that bothers me about our line is because we let go of Brandon Sheriff and picked up Andrew Norwell from the Jaguars, so it's kind of like swapping players in a way. But I feel like because we let go of Brandon Sheriff, we let go of Eric Flowers. We need to boost that offensive line. It's not necessarily a need in the first round per se, but we do need to boost that as one of our needs. We also got, as everybody knows, we got Carson Wentz. That was the big trade that happened. We let go of our 3rd round pick for actually a couple of 3rd round picks for Carson Wentz. And a lot of people are saying, we gave too much for him. I don't necessarily think we did. We got because if it's this how I see it, Washington, the organization itself is the nicest way possible saying this is terrible. We've let a lot of good players just pass by us over the past couple of seasons. I don't think that this team is complete. This team is we're still cut like. When Ron Rivera came in, he said we was going to have a rebuild and we was going to be, within like three or 4 seasons, we're going to be competing for the East. And I don't think – what's up, Brandon? I don't think that we are I don't think we're just there yet. Like, we got Curtis Samuel. And the one thing that bothers me about, Rivera is that he keeps going after all these old Carolina players, which – I know you want to keep it within the family, but if they're not performing, then stop going after them. I appreciate he wants to keep his core players that he had while he was in Carolina, but they're obviously not on the team for a reason, and they have like the players that he brought in, they haven't really performed up to their standards for us. We picked up Corn Elder like late in the season. He didn't even do anything for us. We picked up Curtis Samuel. He was hurt for most of the season. I'm thinking he had less than 10 snaps this past season because he was hurt all season. So and he was supposed to be the big guy that we brought in. I was supposed to him and Terry would take over the league as one of the top duos. And don't get me wrong, Curtis Samuel, he's a good player when healthy. He has the factor to be like he's shown flashes of like that, like a dual wide receiver running back player like Deebo Samuel did tremendously well this year in that role. Same with Cordero Patterson. He's the staple player in my opinion for that type of hybrid position. So I would say at least for our team needs, we need a wide receiver too. We don't know if Curtis Samuel is going to be healthy enough to play for a full season. Diami Brown, he's shown flashes of what he can do. I don't necessarily think that he'll be a wide receiver too just yet. He's still more of a rotational player. Same with Dax Milne out of BYU. He's more of a rotational special teams player. We still have Adam Humphries, but he's not going to be a wide receiver too. He's our slot receiver. As far as defense, safety, big concern. We're letting go of Landon Collins. If I want to put him, I'm going to put him up there with Josh Norman as one of the worst big free agent signings that we've had. Kyle Hamilton. Yeah, I agree. Kyle Hamilton, if he falls to us in the first round, I see them getting him with that pick to replace Landon Collins because he's still on the team till June 1st through his contract. But I do think that we need to replace him. Bobby McCain is actually, in my opinion, better than Landon Collins. He's shown – not Bobby McCain, I'm sorry. Cameron Curl. Cam Curl, especially in his rookie season, he was our hidden gem that we had. It wasn't Chase Young. I think that Cam Curl really stepped up in his rookie season to be a top safety for us for years to come. So another thing, we need tight end Logan Thomas. He's now in the middle of his 30s. He'll be retiring soon. He's still a big target, but he's also coming off that knee injury. Do we go safety or receiver? Honestly, I would say whoever is the best player at that position, I would say go first. If we do have, if there's a top receiver at 11, then we go receiver. If Kyle Hamilton, because I think Kyle Hamilton, if he's not available at 11, I think we go wide receiver. But if he is available, then we go Kyle Hamilton because that's the only player that I would see as safety that we could, go after in the first round. We also need middle linebacker. We moved Jamin Davis from middle linebacker to outside linebacker, which I think would improve his play because one, he's a fast linebacker. And I think that, the role that Michael Parsons played last season, moving all over the place, I feel like we could utilize Jamin Davis' talents to that same level. Center, we brought back our center. He was hurt. Most of our line was hurt for this past season, and our depth. We have a lot of depth at that position, or at least on the line. So they played pretty well for us. But I still think we need to address those concerns in the draft as we did lose Sheriff and Eric Flowers. So players that we brought back that would help us. We brought back J.D. McKissick after we thought we had lost him. He was supposed to go to the Bills, but he changed his mind. The little switcheroo came to us. Him and Antonio Gibson was a good 1-2 punch, as Nate so remembers that very last play. J.D. McKissick on the it was supposed to be a screen, but it didn't work out that way. But he got the ball to the end zone, won that game for us. Bobby McCain, he was solid for us at the free safety position. Cornelius Lucas, death piece in that line. We brought F.A. Obata from the Bills on a 1 year. He was a old Panthers player that, he's bringing depth to that defensive line. As we lost Tim Settle to the Bills. We still have Montez Sweat and Chase Young, but Chase Young, is coming off that injury, so we're going to need a edge rusher to help us. We have Casey Toohill and James Smith Williams and Shaka Tony and those players, but as I can't remember exactly what game it was. I believe it was the first Eagles game that we played when we had nobody on that line due to COVID, and you could just see the inexperience. So I think bringing in F.A. Obata, he would definitely help us in that line. Danny Johnson, we brought him back. He's a special teamer and a depth cornerback. He actually, in my opinion, whenever he came into the game at cornerback, he played better than the DBs that we had on the field already. As far as tackling, he's a good open field tackler. He's good on special teams, so it was good bringing him back. Cam Sims, we brought him back. In my opinion, I thought he could step up to be that role at wide receiver too, but he's shown flashes of him being able to be he's just a tall, big, physical receiver. His hands, they've gotten better from his rookie season. He dropped a lot of passes rookie season, but he's stepping more into his own. He's supposed to be, like our Julio Jones type player, type receiver. Haven't really seen that just yet, but I feel like in his third season he could, he can make a splash, especially as a rotational player. Lastly, we brought back Troy Apke for all my Madden fans out there. People would love that, especially for Washington. He's a very fast special teamer and just switched the corner because he was abysmal at safety, couldn't guard to save his life. And Tyler Larson, old Panthers player who was on Washington last year. He was hurt, but we brought him back as a depth piece. Draft needs was, since we brought in Carson Wentz, don't necessarily think we need to go quarterback early. I would say we wait until later in the rounds, like because we don't have our third round pick. So I would say fourth round we would pick up a quarterback then. We do need guard and center help. We do need a guard to replace Brandon Sheriff. We can go there in the second round if there's a good enough one available, or later rounds like a sixth or seventh round. And then linebacker. Like I said, Cole Holcomb and Jamin Davis, they're our outside linebackers. We still have Khaleke Hudson at the middle linebacker spot, but he's more of a special teamer. So we do need to draft a pure middle linebacker that's able to cover, as we do run a lot of zone. And also, I would honestly say we need like two middle linebackers, one that could, stay back and cover, and then one that, he can blitz whenever. So as far as like my mock drafts, I don't know if Nate, if you want to do the share screen now, as far as showing the mock draft.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna throw a couple.
Oh yeah, no. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, but basically, you did a heck of a job, by the way.
Oh, thank you, appreciate it.
You hit on it. Basically, everything I was looking at as far as Washington. I said that y'all number one need was a corner. Well, I didn't say that was your number one need, but that's one of your needs I had on here because Washington gave up over 4,000 passing yards. They gave up the most touchdown passes in the league last season. I'm surprised it should have been us. Anyways,
our defense was bad. It was just coaching all around. We let big plays get away from us. Opportunities, especially on third down. We was horrible on third down last year, especially early in the season.
Yeah. So I put that they would be in a great position at 11 to take an elite corner like a Salsor, Derek Stingley, whoever is there. I also agree with you. I had linebacker listed. I said that Luke, because just going back to what you kind of said as far as Ron Rivera, he's gonna want a Luke Kuechly like linebacker there in Washington, and this is a deep draft at linebacker. You just hit on Jamin Davis moving to the outside and Cole Holcomb. So this would be the perfect draft for them to look into getting a linebacker. This is a deep draft at that position. Of course, as he mentioned, guard was another position. They lost Surf to Jacksonville. They lost that's his name, right? Last name, right?
Yeah, Sheriff
to Jacksonville. They cut Eric Flowers to save some money. They did bring in Andrew Norrell, but they would love to get another guard. And guard's not going to be a heavy need at the top of most teams' draft board. So they're going to get an elite guy later in the draft. So that I agree with 100%. You also hit on getting a wide receiver because of the Curtis Samuel situation. By the way, Terry McLaurin is a dog. I love Terry McLaurin on that team. He needs some help around him with Carson Wentz. And last but not least, he did mention as far as safety as well. I also said that they needed to address the guy on the opposite side of Bobby McCain, and hopefully that Cameron Curl would rebound from 2020. I mean, from 21, like he does in 2020, to be a pretty solid guy this year. To look at a Kyle Hamilton. So we basically had the same needs, but yeah, you go ahead and share your screen first as far as what you have Washington doing.
All right. Y'all gotta bear with me. It's my first time doing this. Yeah, this is it. All right. So this is my first mock draft. We got Drake London. We selected. This is a no trade mock draft, by the way. So this is all over 7 rounds. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We only have 6 picks this draft. So I made the most out of it. On everybody's mock draft, first round, Drake London. It was either gonna be Drake London or Garrett Wilson, but Garrett Wilson had got selected to the Jets, like literally the pick before this one. But Drake London, he's a big physical receiver from USC. He would be, in my opinion, he would be a perfect complement to Terry McLaurin on the other side, because he also has a little speed to him, so he can hopefully, if he can work on his separation, he'll be a dominant force. And I'm a little on the fence about taking a receiver in the first round, only because the last receiver that we did take in the first round was Josh Doxson, and for Washington fans. We know that Josh Doxson did not prove to be the wide receiver that we thought he was. I mean, he's showing flashes, but he couldn't stay healthy. He couldn't stay on the field. Second round, we go linebacker, address the middle linebacker spot. We go Leo Chenal out of Wisconsin. Another linebacker we could go here is Chad Muma or Nakobe Dean if he falls this deep. I don't think he does, but definitely need a Mike linebacker. Fourth round, I picked Bailey Zapp. Bailey Zapp, he had great numbers coming out of Western Kentucky, had over 5,000 yards in his last season. I think that he's a developmental quarterback that we could use to, fit in our quarterback room with Heineke and Wentz, in case Wentz his injury bug does come back around and, Heineke doesn't perform. We also have Zapp as a backup. Sixth round, later rounds, we go offensive line here. We go Luke Wattenberg, just to add some depth to our offensive line. Round 7, if only reason we get a safety this deep is because Kyle Hamilton got selected early. I would say we go Brad Hawkins here from Michigan. And last but not least, we get some help in that running back room. If in case there's injuries, J.D. McKissick missed a lot of time last year, and Jared Patterson is not there yet as far as being that 1-2 punch. So I would say getting Jarian Ely out of Mississippi from and Pro Football Focus, they gave me a A- on that one, so not too bad of a draft.
Okay, we'll pull mine up real quick. Hey, it's best. You got your best info from a Washington fan, man. They didn't give me an A. I'll tell y'all guys that right now. They didn't give me an A. I didn't get an A.
Hopefully, Brandon, that answered your question for you as far as going safety or receiver.
Let me see which one. I'm trying to pull that one up. Okay, there we go. Now for mine. They didn't give me as good as a grades they gave Devon. I know I'm not a Washington fan, so they. But anyways,
it's all good.
My first pick, I have them taking. Garrett Wilson did fall to me in my mock. He fell to me at number 11. Of course, like we said, they need a wide receiver, so he's an elite talent. Him on the opposite side of Terry McLaurin, and if we can see a rebound from Curtis Samuel, oh my God, That's the
Ohio,
scariest
Ohio State trio.
Yeah, that's the scariest receiving core in the league automatically for me. Second round, I've taken Roger McCreary out of Auburn. He's a very underrated corner in this draft. And with a draft that's going to be so heavy towards the pass rushers, I think that's going to be a solid move for them. Fourth round, I have them taking Justice Shepard out of UGA. I'm a Georgia fan, of course, if you know. He would be a great guard day one in Washington on the opposite side of Andrew Dora. I think he would be a great fit. That line will be immediately better with him. I have them taking Jeremiah Moon, the linebacker out of Florida, very talented side-to-side linebacker. I think he would fit great in that Washington defense, especially with that group up front. I have them addressing a defensive lineman in Christopher Hinton in the seventh round because, I mean, you can't never have enough depth on that defensive line. Just make the line even crazier. And last but not least, I haven't taken actually a second receiver in Charleston Rambo, who's another game changer at wide receiver because, again, you can't never have enough depth at wide receiver. So that's my moves that I had for them. They gave me a B-. They gave me a complete D for just paper. But I promise you, they'll be thinking about that when it comes to it. So I'm gonna remove mine. I'm gonna let Devon pull up his the other one that we did. We did an additional one from the NFL. Which one did we do it from?
We did it from Pro Football Network.
Yeah, I believe that's where it was from.
All right, so this is mine. This is one I did. It's kind of just just to mess around and see what we would get. I added. There's a trade in there. We traded with can't remember exactly what team, but we got a trade in there to get more picks. So this one is more defensive heavy, at least for the first 3 picks. So luckily, Ahmad Gardner somehow, some way slipped to 11, and I was like, well, you can't pass up on a player like him. He was a shutdown corner in Cincinnati. We do need DB help. William Jackson, he had his moments, but he definitely need depth in that position. Kendall Fuller, he's our best corner, but he's also a slot corner. So we need somebody to, help on the outside with William Jackson. Benjamin St-Juste, we picked him up in last year's draft, but he couldn't stay healthy. He was off the field for most of the season. So Ahmad Gardner, putting him in that position to help on this defense would be a big help for us. Jaquan Brisker out of safety from Penn State to replace Landon Collins. He's also a good fit for us. Kyle Hamilton wasn't available, so this was like the next best option for us. Damone Clark linebacker from LSU, he could fit in that linebacker role for us in the third round. Zamir White, I picked him up, to give running back from Georgia. I'm sure Nate knows all about.
You would love him in Washington, I promise you.
He would help out a lot, especially if Gibson just happens to go down. We have that running back because J.D. McKissick, he's more of a receiving back, and both Gibson and McKissick, they're more receiving backs, but I would say Gibson is more like that power receiving back role that we have. And then Jared Patterson, like I said, the little man on the team, that Darren Sproles factor. He's more of a power back as well. But Zamir White just adds to that bolstering running back room that we have. I go tight end here with Daniel Bellinger to give some depth to us. We already have Ricky Seals-Jones still. We have Logan Thomas. We have our rookie John Bates, who's a very good blocker, and also can catch the ball or get down the field. But just a little bit more help as far as being a developmental tight end for when Logan Thomas goes. And then just messing around, we picked up Derek King late 7th round from Miami, Florida. He's a mobile quarterback that can give us mobility in the pocket. And then last but not least, picked up another middle linebacker, Micah McFadden. just to, like I said, add depth. And if we want to run a two Mike linebacker system, he would be a good complement to Damone Clark from the earlier rounds. And I don't know where it doesn't really give me a grade, but
yeah, it did. They didn't give you one either.
yeah. So I'm not really sure what that grade would be, but that would be my mock draft for them.
Okay, let me pull up the one that I did. And Seattle, don't forget, we didn't forget you guys. We actually went ahead and wanted to knock out the team needs and stuff before we did our late.
I do say though, if I was to choose wide receiver, I would honestly want another Ohio State receiver, just for the fact that the chemistry would be there. We already got a good Ohio. We already know how good Ohio State wide receivers are with Scary Terry and Curtis Samuel. When healthy, they're both solid receivers. So just bringing in another, we could do it like because Dan Snyder, we know he loves the Alabama players on that defense. So I would say, we have an Alabama defense with an Ohio State offense. What can go wrong? Especially at the wide receiving core, Scary Terry, and then I would say Garrett Wilson or Olave, one of those two guys that we can bring in. If we can draft them, I would love to have them on the team. If not, go to big physical guy and Drake London.
Okay. This was my mock from Pro Football Network. I have Washington taking Trayvon Walker at number 11. Hold on, before I didn't mean to touch up. Done. What's going on, bro? This is, of course, y'all know this is my time. We do Kingpins Talk podcast together. Make sure you tune into those. This is my guy right here. And he got the rolls. Oh, Lord. Can you wait until September before you start this? But okay, yeah. Let me make mine a little bit bigger because let me make this. Give me a second, guys. Let me make this screen a little closer up because boy. Okay, there we go. That should look a lot better. I have Washington taking Trayvon Walker at number 11. He would be an immediate impact player in Washington. Even with Chase Young coming off the injury, I think you can never get enough of a guy that played in that 3-4 defense at UGA. Also, I have Christian Harris out of Alabama. I think he's one of the most highly underrated linebackers in this draft class, and I think he's going to be really solid for him. I also have them taking Letica Smith out of Virginia Tech. I think they're going to address the need at guard. I actually have them taking two guards, actually. Thayer Munford out of Ohio State. I have them taking him as well. Let me go down. This is the one thing I don't like. They don't have it where you can scroll down. Okay. At pick number 230, I have them taking Bo Melton, the wide receiver that killed it at the combine out of Rutgers. I still think he'll be a pretty talented receiver for Rutgers for Washington. And Jermaine Waller, who I think is going to still be a highly underrated corner out of Virginia Tech. I think he should fit well with that team. They need a corner, and you never can take corners too late because you don't know who you may have down in the board. So we kind of on the same page with who we pick. I just didn't take a running back. I actually should have took a running back because I didn't think about the fact that, like you said, McKissic's just coming back. Patterson's and Gibson was hurt at some point in the season. So that was a great point that you made. Let me go ahead and click out of there. And let me go to the comments real quick. Don, he's talking about that was a great show so far. We appreciate that, man. We appreciate that a lot. You want to put your Seattle one up first? Or you want to put mine up first?
It doesn't matter.
I'm gonna let you rock out first.
All right. This is for Seattle. All right, so I don't, this one I kind of just went best player available at their positions. So first round pick, they go Trent McDuffie, solid corner out of Washington, addressing that need first. And then second round, they go edge rusher, and they get Nick Benito out of Oklahoma. And their pick right after is they're addressing their quarterback need with Desmond Ridder of Cincinnati. He's one of the, in my opinion, he was one of the top 3 quarterbacks coming out of this draft. Third round, they tackle the offensive line need, and they get a tackle in Kellen Diaz. If I said that name wrong, I'm sorry. At Arizona State. I have them taking Romeo Dubes here. This honestly could change. They could go offensive line here again, but I just giving just more depth and a younger weapon for Drew Lock to throw to. He's a tall receiver that has speed on him. That could be, if they want to do it this way, they could pair him up with DK Metcalf and then just put, Lockett in that slot role. I'm not sure if they'll actually do that or not, but you never know. Round 5, I have them getting another DB here in Cordell Flott out of LSU. 5th round, the pick right after, I had them getting Kyron Williams to address that running back room. And I don't know why, but Brad Hawkins, he always slips up into the later rounds, and I have him as a depth piece for the Seattle on that defense behind Jamal Adams with Michigan safety Brad Hawkins, and they gave me an A- grade as well.
Oh yeah, you been killing it. They love you, man. They've been killing. Let me see, where's mine for Seattle? Okay. Oh Lord, I forgot they gave me this grade. Hold on, guys, I'm about to pull it up now. Okay, let's go share. All right, that was his Seattle mock, and this is mine from my other one from Pro Football Focus. They gave me a B, but as you can see, they gave me an F on one of the players. I know why though. Okay, at 9, I had them taking Sauce Gardner out of Cincinnati. I think that'd be a great addition immediately for them. I have them taking Desmond Ridder as a quarterback option at number 40. Then I have them taking Christian Harris. I don't know why Pro Football Focus gave me a D+. They are totally sleep on this guy. 3rd round, I have them taking Donovan West out of Arizona State. That's to address their offensive line. I have them taking Zach Tom, the tackle out of Wake Forest. They need every position on the offensive line, with the exception of maybe center, but I still have them taking one. 5th round, I have them taking Zach Simbrone out of Wisconsin. I think he's a really talented linebacker. Also, I have them taking Adam Anderson out of UGA. I think they may have gave me an F because of the situation still legally. If you are aware, he was not able to be a part of the remainder of the season because of a legal issue at UGA. But I think he's going to be a really talented DN in the NFL. Probably been a first-round pick for most teams. But at last but not least, in the 7th round, I have them taking Josh Reeves, the guard out of Kansas State, and they gave me a B+. I basically addressed 3 positions on their offensive line. I gave them some depth on their defense, and they're going to got them a quarterback as well out of the situation too. So that's my Seattle mock, and I'm gonna let Devon cover his Pro Football Focus one. Excuse me, his Pro Football Network one. Sure.
Yeah, this one, same thing. Just took the best player approach, and I don't believe I did any trades on this one. Let me see. Let me put up. I don't believe I did any trades, but we're about to find out in a second. But I had them. I addressed first round. I did trade actually.
Okay, you did trade back.
I traded down, so I got them getting a tackle out of North Carolina State, Ikem Ukwonu, who honestly I don't think he'll last this long, but if he does, there'll be a great addition to their offensive line. I have them second pick getting Perrion Winfrey, interior tackle from Oklahoma. To add some depth and a younger face on that defensive line. Still have them getting Desmond Ridder, quarterback at Cincinnati. Roger McCreary slips to 49 out of cornerback out of Auburn. Had them, addressing that need. To their linebacker position, gonna have them getting Troy Anderson. Get them a Bobby Wagner face or younger Bobby Wagner on that defense. Not necessarily saying comparing Anderson to Wagner, but just getting a linebacker in general to address that need, that hole. having them getting Daniel Falele.
Yeah, you got it. You got it.
Minnesota. He's a big 6'7" tackle that could come in and instantly, demolish the edge rushers coming off. So I have them getting 2 offensive tackles in the first round, addressing those edge needs. They, getting the tight end out of Maryland. They'll get Chigozim Okonkwo. I'm so sorry if I said that name wrong.
You are.
He's a big physical tight end from Maryland. Noah Fant has his injury issues. I believe they still have Gerald Everett. But just that tight end room in general, he could be a developmental tight end for them, and make them very versatile on that in the tight end room. And then last but not least, the last pick, they get Tyquan Thornton. He's a very fast receiver, tall. Actually, he's a 6'3", ran a 4.29 if I'm not mistaken. The fastest 40 time in the NFL history. Not sure why he falls all the way to the 7th round, but or the 6th round. I'm sorry, I'm not sure why he falls all the way to the 6th round, but definitely would be a good pick, or underrated pick for anybody, especially if they want to address speed at the wide receiver position. But that's my mock draft for now.
All right. Yes, for our Madden lovers, he'd probably be like a 90. He's gonna be like a 97 speed. Trust me.
He'll be just in the mock drafts that they have, or not in the mock draft, just in the draft class that they have already. He's a 97 speed, starting off with 89 acceleration. So Madden lovers, you'll definitely love that, especially pairing him up with DK Metcalf and Lockett at the slot.
Okay. And my mock, let me pull this up. I like that mock though. And I would take the Seahawks and Madden myself. They take Thornton because that's a lot. That's a lot of speed on that squad. Okay, let me go to this mock. Okay, so I have in my mock from Pro Football Network, I have the Seahawks taking Malik Willis at number 9. I go ahead and get them a quarterback. He fell to him, so you can't pass him up if he falls to you like that. Also at number 40, I have the Seahawks taking Kenyon Green out of Texas A&M. I thought he was initially going to be like a first-round prospect, but things happen because the class is just deep. So he would be a first-rounder probably last year, maybe even next year, but it's just that deep. I have Arnold Ebiketie, or I don't know. Forgive me. This is interesting to say the least. So I have them taking an edge out of Penn State. That's going to address their group up front. In the third, I have them taking Ed Ingram, the guard out of LSU. He's a very, very underrated guy in LSU. In the 4th round, I have them taking Channing Tindall out of UGA. He's one of the underrated guys on this defense from last season. He will be a solid linebacker. He's going to be a very, very good piece for someone to pick up in the draft. I also have taken a Caleb Evans out of Mizzou. He's a very underrated cornerback. I think he would be very solid for the Seahawks at that position. They get them another corner. I have them taking Jamar Sawyer out of UJ. As you can see, I have Seattle going heavy in offensive linemen in this draft to shore up their line going forward from Malik Willis as I have in this draft. And last but not least, I have them taking Jermaine Waller out of Virginia Tech in the 7th round. That would give them 2 corners that also solidify 3 offensive linemen for Seattle. And that is my mock for these guys as well, too. But that's all day. That's what we got for today. But I do know that me and Devon are going to come together again. We're going to cover Baltimore, Minnesota. I think the 3 is Baltimore, Minnesota, and Philly together.
Yeah.
So
Philly after they just traded with
New Orleans.
They traded back, I believe. Yeah, they traded back with New Orleans a couple of spots. So that'll be interesting to see what they do. Philly is actually set up for the next 2-3 drafts with multiple first-round picks. So they're building, they're rebuilding, but they're doing it, 1 year at a time, and they're actually building the draft capital pretty well. So hopefully they'll put some pieces around Jalen Hurts to get him going.
All right, yes, sir. And we got a show coming. Whether it's either going to be today or excuse me, not today. My bad, guys. Either tomorrow or at the latest Tuesday. Being Devon gonna get a chance to get everything situated for the show done. Terry, I don't know if you're still watching. I know you would love to give some info on the Ravens. You are welcome to give us some info with Baltimore. We both know several Eagle fans that are going to be dying to talk about their Philadelphia Eagles, but if Devon has nothing else to say, this is going to be the end of the show.
Oh yeah, I just want to say, thank you for having me again. It's been a while. I love talking about my team. Hopefully, these picks, or at least I hope my mock draft, we get at least one of those players on the list. I know that this is going to be interesting this year. Oh, thank you, Emily. It's going to be interesting this year because just how we did last year. We thought that the expectations on the defensive line was going to be, we was going to be the top 5 defense in the league, and we was a blunder to say the least. It took us more than enough games to get ready, or to not get ready, but to get going. We went 7-9 with a banged up offensive line, or 7-10 with a banged up offensive line, a backup quarterback to say the least. With one receiver, one solid receiver. So I think that if we address every need that we have in this draft and we do it effectively and everybody comes back healthy, I feel like we have the makings to win the division. And I say that with confidence, actually. Because Dallas, yes, they have a chance to run it back again, but that was, yeah. It hurts to say that they have a chance to run it back again. But that was Dan Quinn's first year, and nobody's seen the Dan Quinn defense in Dallas. But everybody has now, so I think that offenses are going to be making their adjustments, and I don't think they're going to have the same run like they did this past year. So I think the top 2 teams, in my honest opinion, is going to be Washington and Philly. They're going to surprise everybody this year, and Philly's going to be in that race for that division this year. The Giants, they're still a project, so it depends on Daniel Jones if he comes back healthy, how he plays. But and whatever they're going to do with Barkley, that whole situation that they have going on there. So yeah, the Giants are still a project. I don't see them finishing last, but I do see them in the bottom half. Dallas is Dallas. They lost a lot of their players in that line. So I know they'll probably be addressing those needs in the draft, but I really think that we can make this. If we make this draft a good one, we'll come around and we can make a run for the playoffs this season.
All right. So everyone, this has been another show. It's all in with Date and DB, man. We're gonna be back. And Dunn said before we cut it, he said he got his mock drafts ready to go. Okay, hey, we're gonna hold you to it. We look forward to it, and we'll get a chance to chop it up with you about it because again, we're thinking about doing it tomorrow. It could be Tuesday because if my Atlanta Hawks show up like they did today, I don't plan on watching game 2, by the way. But so until next time, it's been me and Devon. You got anything to say when we head out?
No, just thank you for everybody that's watching and commenting. Just keep doing that. I like this is at least for both of us. This is just the start of what we're really trying to do. At least for me, it's the start of what I want to do. So just got to keep the momentum going and keep going. So I appreciate all the love and support from everybody.
Yes, sir. Until next time, this has been another episode. We will see you guys within the next 2 days. We'll put it out there what day we're gonna do it.
Yes, sir.